welcome back, Fivers, to the next episode of our pod. And with the season starting in a couple of days, we wanted to go through the top 6, who we thought were going to be the top 6 this season. And maybe at the end we'll have a little bet or dare to see if it comes to fruition or not. So Daniel, start us off. Let's see what you've got for the top 6 of the Premier League this season.
I mean, I think we'll start number 1 position. I feel like mine's probably what everyone's thinking. So with Manchester City for number 1 spot.
Shocking. I think that's the first time we've ever agreed on anything. So yeah. Nice start.
I think it's like, yeah, they've signed Haaland. He's already scored in the pre-season. They've got Kevin De Bruyne, who he's going to link up perfectly with. He's going to provide. There are going to be so many chances, and their squad depth as well. Like they've got Grealish, they've got Mahrez, they've got De Bruyne, they've got Bernardo Silva, they've got Rodri, they've got Calvin Phillips. Like their midfield, like the creativity they have.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
I think also you've got Foden. I think this season you're going to see Mahrez play a lot more consistently now that Sterling's gone, and I think that will actually benefit them more. Foden and Grealish, another year of experience. I think both of them are unbelievable footballers, and I don't think either of them have really hit their potential yet at City, which I see happening. So if it's going to happen this year, they're just going to really be unstoppable.
Yeah, I was surprised Jack Grealish actually just didn't really hit the form that he was at Aston Villa at City. Maybe
it's a new role, I think. Also, it's a new role.
I think he goes out too much as well. To be honest with you, I think he's a bit of a golden boy, and so he goes out and he's
let him enjoy himself.
He's enjoying his life, and you can tell that. And fair play to him. Like I think anyone would do the same. But hopefully this season he switches on, and it looks like I've seen a few clips of him in pre-season. He looks a lot sharper already. I think he obviously assisted Haaland in the pre-season game. His first goal was from Grealish. You saw after the game they were talking about how those are the balls I want. Like Haaland said that. Sounds a bit suspicious the way he said that. Haaland was saying, Haaland said I want more balls like that. I want more assists like that.
You think there's a connection there?
There's a connection. Already a connection, and I think that's only going to help Grealish further.
Are they going to hit 100 points?
No chance. I think the Premier League is just so difficult this season, and we'll go into why.
I think they'll do better than they did last season. I think 95, 96 points, maybe even 100. I think it's going to be quite unstoppable.
I think it's going to be tight at the top. I think we'll go into.
You think second place? You think it's going to be tight?
Yeah.
I don't. Who do you think's in second place?
You're gonna disagree with me, but I'll explain why. Manchester United, second place.
Madness. No,
100%. And I'll tell you why. I mean, already their pre-season has been incredible. Some of the football they've been playing, they've beaten Palace 3-1. They beat Liverpool 4-0. They're scoring goals again. Sancho looks like a different beast already in the pre-season under Ten Hag.
Just stopping you there. I don't pre-season every year. You always have these teams that do well. I don't think it means much.
You see good
individual players performing well. That definitely gives you some inkling into how they're going to play in the season. But
the reason why I think is because they've got so much ability in their team. They have so much ability. They've got Sancho. They've brought in Eriksen, Martinez as a centre back as well. They've got so much talent, and the reason why they struggled last season was management. Same reason we said about Spurs struggling under all these different managers coming in. They had terrible management last year. They brought in Michael Carrick for a few games, which just shows how dire that situation was. That's why, and even with that, they finished 6th or so. Now I got Ten Hag in, and he's. Do
you think Ronaldo's going to stay? Because
I think if he stays, I think they'll actually do worse.
Do worse with Ronaldo.
I think they'll do worse.
18 goals, I think he got in the Premier League last season.
Because
all those late goals in the Champions League.
The reason is when you have Ronaldo in a team, you're playing around Ronaldo. He is the mold of the team, and you're playing to how he wants to play. Without him,
so far off of the 4-3-3.
And without him in the pre-season, I know it is just pre-season, but they have looked like a much better free-flowing team. If you look at a few of their goals during this pre-season, which I've been watching them, the way they're playing the ball, they're linking up. Finally, the talent they've got in the team is coming through under some sort of new direction, a new philosophy of Ten Hag. I think the confidence built through pre-season.
That's also the manager. I get what you're saying, but there is also that manager bounce. They all need to impress. They know he's coming. He's strict. He's got his own vision. I get that, but it's not all going to be rosy the whole season. And when these players, with the fans getting toxic, the players if they underperform a little bit, does that confidence drop? Are they?
I think they reached
season?
I think they reached like an all-time low last season. I think you'll get much lower than that for United. I mean, if they do, then I don't know. I don't know where that leads.
In the last 5-6 years, yeah. Even when they came second with Mourinho, they still were bang average, weren't they?
This season, I feel like it's revenge season for United. I feel like they've had their low point now. They even brought in Ronaldo when they were struggling. They've had that really low point. I think now they'll bounce back. They'll start the season strongly. I think they'll get a few results under their belt. Then that can lead a team anywhere. Look at where Leicester, when they won the Premier League, under just some good form. I think that can lead a team anywhere.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm far less convinced. I think they'll do better than last year in terms of performances. But I think they'll have an up and down season still. And I think when Ten Hag, if they start losing, I'll be interested to see how he bounces back. He's not used to that from Ajax. Let's see how he performs under some, real pressure.
I think he's a strict manager, and I think they need a bit of discipline.
For sure.
I think he's massively respected, Ten Hag, for the things he's done for Ajax. I think I think all the players, and even Sancho said it feels like a whole different team now. Only recently he said that it feels like Ten Hag's come in, he's changed the team. We feel so much better. There's a lot of, and that we didn't have that last season for United. They were all like, it's just like there was no positivity.
There was a lot of toxicity also in the club. Yeah, no, for sure.
And that could come back, like you said. It could flop. They're going to either finish 6th or they're going to finish 2nd. There's going to be no in between for, I think, United.
Well, I have them 6th, so
we'll go on to that.
That's what I think. So I think second place though will be Liverpool. I think they're still a very strong outfit. I think they're not going to be close to City though. I think they're actually going to be fighting for 2nd, 3rd place. And I think there's a few reasons for that. One, Mane is a big loss. Diaz is a quality player. Also, they've got Jota. But I just think Mane, in general, he's always seems to be open. He's always moving about. He's always active. And he's got a great mindset, personality, which throughout the season you need. And that consistency. Their midfield is also getting a little bit older. I think Keita and Fabinho are both 27, 28. But the rest of them, if you're not looking at the new young crop like Harvey Elliott, the rest of them, Henderson.
Yeah, I'll go into. I actually agree with you on many of those points, and I'll go into where I place Liverpool when we get there, and I'll go into why. But yeah, 100% agree. Mane, losing him is a massive loss. The Salah and the Mane link up, that was special, and they've lost that completely. They brought in Darwin Núñez to replace him. He's not a replacement for Mane at all. Completely different player.
Is he a replacement for Mane, or is he more Firmino's replacement or centre forward?
I mean, they haven't brought anyone else in to place Mane, so either he's...
They've got Diaz though. They brought him in last season.
Yeah, but I don't think it's the same quality as Mane is.
No. He is a good player, but yeah, I agree with that. So who do you think is gonna come 3rd then?
You're going to hate me for this one as well. I think Arsenal, because I know you're a Spurs fan, so you're not going to enjoy that.
Interesting.
First of all, Gabriel Jesus has come in already. I know you said pre-season doesn't count, but he has performed really well in pre-season. I think he was a bit overshadowed at Man City. They've got so much talent there that he was almost overlooked. Arsenal brought him in. He's now almost a big fish in a smaller pond. I think he'll have that confidence. He'll be the star man there. I think that's only going to reflect in his performances. I can see him scoring 20-plus goals this season, personally. Wow. I can see him doing very, very well and being their key man to take them and get them those crucial results. They've also brought in...
He squanders so much, though. As in, playing for City, he wasn't getting anywhere near those amount of goals, but he was getting the chances. It's interesting to see how he, like you said, he was a small fish in a big pond. Now he's a big fish in a small pond. Let's see how very, very, very small pond.
He's performed well in the pre-season. I think if there was any chance of him flopping, we'd see that already. But I think his movement really benefits Arsenal and Arteta's philosophy and way of playing. So it'd be interesting how he does. If he does flop, Arsenal flop. I think that's one of their big downfalls.
They still don't have a central defensive midfielders who are good. They got Partey, who it's questionable, and the jury's still out. Multiple reasons why the jury's still out with him. Let's see if he even plays this season. I'm not sure how that whole saga's playing out right now. But they've needed it for 5-6 years, even longer, and they continuously buy these players like Xhaka, El Nene, Partey, like no one's proven in the Premier League.
I think they've signed better players this season. Like they've got Vieira, they've got Zinchenko. Zinchenko's a massive signing. That's huge. So they're signing big players. I know Gabriel Jesus isn't elite, but he could be if he performs well. He could be a good player for them if he does perform well. So I think they've made very smart signings. I do agree. Maybe they need another centre midfielder. They've never replaced Patrice Vieira.
Yeah, even
they
going,
never
even
replaced
going back
him.
that far. Yeah, it's just crazy how they could, and they've gone through so many. And every time there's a new player who comes, and everyone gets so excited for the first few weeks. Oh, he's amazing, and then like Torreira, like that guy from Ceballos, whatever his name is, from Madrid. Partey, like he wasn't so good when he started, but still, like they get this hype, and they're just bang average.
It just feels different. I think this season. I think they've brought in some good players. They brought in players who have proved themselves in the Premier League. Gabriel Jesus maybe hasn't proven himself, but he has played at that top level.
What about Arteta though? Arteta, he gets them so hyped up. There's so much emotion in everything that they do as a team. Surely that after, maybe for one season that works, but that can't be consistent. You're gonna burn out. The downs are gonna be as intense as the highs.
That's a good point.
And that's gonna have a negative. That could only, you would think, have a negative effect.
Because I had Arteta, so I've written a bit about Arteta and how this is his season now to prove his philosophy. He's been building this team for a couple of years, and he's been saying it's all part of a process, Like, it will come together in the end. I think this season is a season where they need to at least finish fourth. Third would be a good achievement. Anything below fourth, like, he should be sacked because he's not done anything. They finished fifth last season. It was actually a very poor season for them in the end. They sort of bottled fourth place. They should have at least got fourth place.
Definitely bottled it.
Massively bottled it. Massively bottled it to Spurs. And I think like this season is again like almost like a bit of a revenge season. A bit of a like Arteta needs to prove himself. They've brought in Jesus, who looks very positive. Positive season. Let's see.
I think for them to come above Spurs would be a major success for them. I think with Conte, if Conte lasts the full season at Spurs, I think Spurs will be fighting Liverpool for second place.
So you got Spurs third.
I've got Spurs third. I just think Conte's a different animal, and there's not many managers that show that intensity, and he didn't show it last season. He was a lot more calmer last season because he knew he didn't have the squad. He knew he didn't have the time to build that team. But I think this year you're going to see a much more animated Conte, which it's hard to even say, but he's going to be even more animated. He'll be even more passionate. And I think if we start off well, if Tottenham start off well, I think they'll have a strong season.
That's going to come down to, and I'll explain that where I put them. It's all going to come down to like how well Kane performs, how well Son perform at the start of the season, and that's a big downfall for them. They depend very much on those two players. If Kane's off form, if Son's off form, if Kane struggles during the World Cup or gets injured,
there is now some rotation. You've got Richarlison who's come in, who he is a good player. He might not have scored double figures for Everton in the season, but I think with a team around him, he'll do better at Spurs. You've got Kulusevski who's come in, who we saw last season was quality. I don't know if he's going to be able to maintain that level of play. If he can, then
they're playing a very risky game. Spurs. They're playing like they've brought in some good players. I agree. Richarlison played for Everton last season, who struggled. So yeah, it's very risky. If all of them play well,
Richarlison's transfer is a risky chance?
I think he's a class player, obviously, but hasn't played at a top side yet, top 6 side.
Yeah, so he does play for the national team, but yeah, I agreed. Like it's a new challenge for him. But I do think like Perisic, I think if he has the fitness which Conte wouldn't have bought him if he didn't, I think is also another great sign that improves our team. Might not improve another team, but improves our team. And then we've also got in the middle Basuma, who was something that we were missing. It gives more freedom to the players moving forward.
Yeah, and these are players like Basuma, Richarlison. They've come up from like Brighton and from Everton, like both teams who weren't really challenging the top 6. So you're bringing in players who haven't had that experience of a title race or a Champions League race yet.
They'll get it this year.
But we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they'll be more hungry for it. Maybe that will help Spurs. So Spurs would be very. I'll show you where I put them in a minute. But yeah, they'll be a very 50-50 team. It could go either way. They could go win it. You know what I mean? They're so unpredictable as a team, all depending on the form of their players.
Go on, you Spurs. All right. So who you got in 4th place then?
So I've got Liverpool 4th place.
Okay, so you've had City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool, right, so far.
So
Interesting.
it is interesting because I think it's going to be an interesting shake-up this season. I think there's a lot that's happened over the summer. And Liverpool, like we said, lost Mane, massive impact I think that's going to have. And in terms of business who they brought in Darwin Núñez and brought in Carvalho, and that's it. There's no other players they brought in. Obviously, Klopp's got a very tight budget at Liverpool. He always has had that. Hasn't affected him so far.
They normally sell as well, yeah.
Salah last season ended the season very poorly for his standards. Hasn't really hit the ground running in the pre-season yet. His performances have been below par. So that's a big worry for Liverpool. If Salah starts the season slow, like Kane did last season, they could easily find themselves in a bit of trouble.
Yeah. Salah's also not really experienced an injury for many years. Not saying that as in it doesn't mean that he's now going to. But yeah, it would be, a big loss to them. And I think also Van Dijk, like if they lose Van Dijk at the back, he's so influential. I know they have Matip, I know they have Konate, they have cover, but again, like they rely on that influence across the team. So,
and I think fourth place isn't a bad place to finish. Like obviously it's poor for Liverpool; they want to be challenging for the title, for of course. Yeah, but it is still fourth place in a very tough Premier League. So I think it's gonna be like very tight at the top. That's why I say like I think City will win it. I think they will definitely win it by. Not a fair bit, but maybe say 9 points or something. I think then you have a very big battle for second place. You have United, Arsenal, Liverpool, and we're going to fifth place. But I think those fourth, third, and second will be sort of like very close, all sort of fighting.
I think that will be more
positions.
Yeah. So with me, I've got City first, Liverpool second, Spurs third, and Arsenal fourth. But I think Arsenal, Chelsea, United will be fighting for the fourth, fifth, sixth. I think that will be very close this season. I think Arsenal.
You think United will finish outside the top four?
Yeah.
With Ten Hag as well?
Yeah, I do. I think the ups and downs that will come with the season for them, the uncertainty over Ronaldo, I think that's going to cause problems in the beginning. And I think it's not all bliss. I think he started off well as rosy. He starts pissing off some players with his attitude. It all turns negative in the camp. He gets too emotional over someone's mistake. It starts to beat down on morale. I think they've definitely got the manager bounce right now, but you know how it is at United. If they lose 2 games, that the club will shift. Like they'll start to be the people who want him out. It will start to get a bit more toxic in the club. Whereas other clubs, I feel that happens. It takes a bit longer for that to start happening. So I think that will be tough for United.
Why have you chosen?
Arsenal fourth. I think, like you said, they've signed well. They have signed well in comparison. And I think Arsenal are going to get fourth due to the fact that Chelsea and United aren't going to be so strong, not because Arsenal are so unbelievably amazing this year.
It's interesting we both haven't put Chelsea in the top 4. Just realised that.
Yeah. I don't know if that's to do with pre-season. For me, losing Rudiger is a massive loss for them. Not only his defensive presence, but just he's a fighter. If ever there's any confrontation on the pitch, he's the first one to run in. If ever there's, someone needs a player's back, he's there. He's aggressive throughout. He gets in the striker's face. He pisses people off. I think just losing that changes the whole mentality of the
I think also like Thomas Tuchel for me isn't the one they need. I think he did very well to get him to third, to be fair. But the amount of
Champions League, he's done well. He's done very well with them.
I don't know. I think the pre-season was poor. Lost 4-0. Lost against Charlotte FC as well. In the pre-season.
Yeah, I know it's
a pre-season, but
it's so hard to look into that stuff.
But it's not going to help them in any.
They haven't got a striker this year. Like they've got Werner. They're trying to get rid of Barkley, Hudson-Odoi. I think there's like 4 or 5 players they're trying to get off their wage bill. Batshuayi. They've got no striker. They've got Werner, and then they've got Havertz, who's playing up front for them.
Yeah, and they brought in Sterling.
He'll be good.
I don't think he will.
I think he will. I don't rate Sterling as like a top player, but I think at what he's good at, which is maybe beating one defender or picking the ball up at the halfway line and driving the ball. I think like that's something that they need.
I think he's got no real end product. He never has. I think with City, he had so much support around him to where that didn't really matter as much.
He's good at the tapping. Well, he does still miss some, but he gets
himself into good positions.
Gets himself in positions.
But in order to get yourself into good positions, you need someone setting the ball up for you. So it's going to be tricky for him to perform well without, say, a good striker next to him or support from behind. I don't know, but he's left back for Chelsea now. Is it Alonso?
They've got Chilwell.
Yeah.
He's good. They've got great, like Chilwell, James, Reece James. They've also got Alonso if they need him, who's been quality, but he's now also getting a bit older.
Yeah, they brought Koulibaly as well in Chelsea. And I don't think he replaces Rudiger as well.
No.
I don't think he's
not from what we
close.
saw in the Champions League last year. I don't know. I've not seen him too much. Like I've seen highlights of him. I think he'll need to get used to the pace of the league. Probably give away a few fouls, penalties in the beginning.
So for fifth, who have you got for fifth?
So I've gone for Chelsea.
Gone for Chelsea, yeah.
Yeah.
I've gone for Spurs for fifth.
Crazy.
So again, what we were saying before, just to sort of repeat myself a little bit, but Kane, I think it will depend very much on his form. I'm a bit worried that he'll go into the season the same as he did last season with all these transfer rumours and things going on. Like, he's got such a big presence now, people talking about him all the time. I think he does play on his mind a little bit. I think he maybe doesn't have the mental state to cope with it.
Not this year.
We'll see. But I can see him starting the season very slowly. That will then put Son into a bit of turmoil because he needs Kane to be good for him to also perform well. We saw that last season. They struggled without each other.
I think that could be true. I think if we're looking at pre-season, this is the first pre-season that Kane's ever looked like he's got some pace in him. But yeah, I agree. Like, Kane starts slowly. If he starts slowly, it can always be tough. But if he I don't see us coming fifth though.
And I think the signings, like you said, like Basuma and Richarlison, I think whilst they're good players, they're not like big players. They're not like Haaland.
Basuma,
they're not. They're not like even Gabriel Jesus. I know he's not a big player, but he's done it he's played for City, so he's experienced that competitiveness.
I think Basuma will do as much. Jesus will add a lot to Arsenal for sure, but we have been crying out for a holding midfielder who does that defensive. Like, Højbjerg doesn't do that defensive role that well. He's a presence. He gets in people's faces. He tracks back. But Basuma's he can tackle. He's a stronger player, so I think that will help us a lot.
I think they could have done with another very, very good player. Maybe not Richarlison and Basuma. Maybe it's hard to trap players, I guess. But they did finish fourth, so they got Champions League football, so it shouldn't have been too difficult. Maybe if they put some money into someone like Mane, obviously not Mane exactly, but someone who, so they're not so dependent on just Son and Kane, because they still are this season. I mean, really, aren't they?
We'll see. We can't say right now. I think Kulu and Richarlison will add a lot more. I think there'll be more assists and goals from our midfield. And then our wing backs this season, which is a massive part of our game, they just weren't clinical last year. They weren't very good. Now, a bit longer to work with Conte. He's got rid of Reguilon. Well, he's trying to sell Reguilon, offload Reguilon. I think he's going to try and offload Emerson Royale as well. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. So, who you got your top five? So, who have you got then in sixth place?
We've got Chelsea in sixth place. Same reasons as before. I don't think they're playing their best football at the moment. Pre-season just didn't look very good. They've lost their striker. They haven't got Lukaku anymore. Have they replaced him? I don't think they have. They brought in Sterling, who needs that support around him to perform, I think. I think we've seen that with England and with City. He's been used to having talent around him. He's not someone who can come into a team and make that big impact. He's not an impact signing like the Haaland, Darwin.
He's not as big, but he does have decent support. Like, you do have a decent midfield at Chelsea that are going to play to his strengths. But yeah, agreed that he might not be as big as they think he's going to be.
And interesting enough, obviously this was a while ago now, but when he came to City, his first season, he started one of the last 12 games of the season for them due to form and also due to injury. So be interesting to see if he's grown up and he's had a bit of a learning curve, because obviously when he went to City he was 21, so a lot more pressure on him.
There was a lot of abuse and a lot
of course,
that came with it.
But he has also now got a lot of pressure as Chelsea's biggest signing. There'll be a lot expected of him. Is that going to play with his mind, or is he going to be able to cope with it?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a risk. It'll be interesting to see.
And I'll finish off here with who I think United. As I said, we've gone through it. Don't think it's all going to be a smooth sailing. I think there's going to be lots of ups and downs, and if they don't get Ronaldo sorted ASAP, I think it's only going to be more of a negative impact on them.
We'll see. I can see Ronaldo leaving. I think that'd be a bad thing for United. I think he's come and look where they finished. So he didn't really make an impact on them. He scored lots of goals because he was going to, wasn't he? He's Ronaldo. He's not going to come and score 2 goals. And
well, that just shows how good he is. Yeah.
Yeah. So he is a world-class player, but I don't think he fits United's philosophy or what they're trying to do right now. I don't think they need a big player like Ronaldo, and I don't think anyone wants him, do they? No one wants
Outside
Ronaldo right
of
now.
United, yeah, it's interesting. Right now, it doesn't seem that.
And there must
too
be a
many
reason
people
for that. Maybe money, or maybe they've just seen United last season and been put off by it. Not
Yeah.
too sure.
Yeah. All right, fivers. So as you know, at Fantasy 5, all we do is just give out money. So you predict your top 6 below, and if it comes to fruition, you'll be entered into a draw to win £500. So get predicting.